Good afternoon everybody, and a very warm welcome to Beringer and Districts. And today I have, it's all about Morwood today really, which is why you're looking at the folly in front of you. I know it's a bit out of the norm, because normally you get to see the station building first before we start, but there is a very good reason for that, and that will become apparent on another video. However, for this video there is still very much plenty to talk about, which is why I'm going to be covering Beringer in a separate video at some point in the future. However, some work's been done down at this folly end and the rock face end. If I just pan out a bit, I still haven't done the ballasting because I'm still going to be doing some track configuration down at Beringer, which I may have mentioned before. If not, I will just briefly go over that shortly. But what I have done is I've removed the pub that was here. There used to, I don't know if any of you remember, but there was a pub here. I didn't really like the way it was sitting there, and it just looked a bit too out of place, and it just kind of looked like I just dumped it there, which was pretty much what I did. Now, on a previous video I showed you about my big piece of rock, which I broke down into various pieces, and this is one of the small pieces, so I've just added that and glued that in there. I've also added this line of trees. The reason for this line of trees is basically to give the impression that the path sort of disappears behind the trees and off somewhere into the distance. So that's the whole kind of premise of that. So that's what else I've been up to. Also, I'm not quite sure what I've shown you before, to be truthful with you, so I'll just quickly go over it. Basically, I've glued the platform down, I've glued this down, and I did all these various bits of signage, which I'm not quite sure whether I've shown you or not. So I've added all these other little bits. There's lighting here, lighting there. So this Morewood is pretty much 95% complete, really, and there really isn't much more to do with Morewood, apart from adding some people, and pretty much it's not too far off now. And the reason why I've moved the pub is because it's over here. In fact, it's a little bit wonky, so OCD. And also, as you can probably see, I've also added a back seam. And I feel like this is a nice way to sort of finish off this corner. There wasn't much that I could really do with this corner, so I thought it'd be quite a nice way to do it. As you can see, the track sort of finishes here, and that will kind of go on to the fill yard, which we'll get to shortly. Then we've just got the pub over here, and there's going to be a mini sort of set of cars just here. This bus is basically going to be on a raised section up to meet the railway line, and then basically it will go over a level crossing. So it'll go over this railway line here, and then after it will then come over here and then disappear off that way. So that's kind of what the premise is of that. Also, this back bit also comes off. It's just magnetised, and the reason why it's got magnets is because I've got the light switch here. So it's just a nice little quick little removable little section that I can do, and it just clips into place, and that's it, job done, won't be going anywhere. So that's the whole reason for that. So it's looking pretty decent now. Like I said, I've still got a lot of work to do in terms of the road, in terms of getting that made up. But to be honest with you, I've been doing a lot of work elsewhere, and I'll come to that shortly. And then if I quickly move on to the fill yard, you'll see that I've got some extra points now. I'm not quite sure from my last video where I got up to, but basically I've done some track configuration or reconfiguration over at Beringer, and basically it's to simplify the track work at Beringer, just like I've done here at Morewood, and that's also for improved reliability, improved running, and also hoping to save some points so I can use some of them over here and then exactly work out what needs to be done next, so I can then get on with Volmer, which is the next bit that I've got to do. But I can't do Volmer until I've done this part of the fill yard, and I've been kind of dithering over this for a little while because of the points, but now I've got the points here. I probably need another 1 or 2 points, but apart from that it's pretty much there already. So I'm really I'll be cracking on with that quite soon. So we're sort of creeping ever closer. I mean, as you can see, I've just done the back seam which wraps around here, so now we're kind of getting a bit nearer and nearer, sort of edging our way towards the fill yard and then onto Volmer. So that's pretty much what I'll be doing. Also, there's some rolling stock updates to give you. Basically, I've been investing in some rolling stock. I have a lot of locos, which are all very well and good and very shiny and very beautiful, but they need wagons and coaches to pull. So I've been investing in some new rolling stock. So I've got this dapple. It's not new as in it's just been released. It is brand new stock, but it's new to me. Like I said, I think Dapple released it some time ago, but this is basically a Network Rail IOA wagon, and I bought 4 of these with a possible view of buying another 4, basically to make the most of the length that I can get on my fill yard 1, because that's the shortest fill yard of the 2. So there's no point me filling it up to the length of this one because it just won't fit over the other side. So I've got 4 of these, and this will run with my GBRF 66s, the tube map one and the original sort of livery one, but also it can run with various other stuff if I've got cola stuff or whatever, which I don't actually have actually. But either way, I've also got Network Rail 57, so that can pull these as well. So I've got 4 of these. I'm now going to take you down to sorting out my other stock, which I have. Now here I've got my Network Rail sort of test train, which I sort of put together out of old stock, which I had, which you're about to see the new stock. And basically, you've seen this as well, but what I've now done is I've now added the signage, the Network Rail transfers, and also I've also added the numbers on the ends there, so it's a bit more complete. And as you can see on this one, there's some data panels as well on this one on the end, so I've done that on the other end as well. There is also a GUV on the end of this, so if I just give this a bit of a move, the GUV's got these white versions of the Network Rail. I've got these decals off of eBay. I did do some checking on online, and the research tends to be that they've got the GUVs tended to have these saw a few with the Network Rail on a white background, so that's kind of what I've got here. Alongside, you've seen my Voyager, that's just come back because that was just serviced because it was running a bit slow and not very reliably. And in truth, it's running better, but not a huge amount better, to be truthful with you. I'm hoping by running it a bit more often that it will be fine. My Class 57 Freightliner has had to go back to, which is a whole kind of what kicked off Volmer was my Freightliner 57, but that's had to go back to Batman. Both the drive shafts I think have packed up. There's just no drive in it, so I took it back to my local model shop and they've sent it off to Batman. It's still under warranty, so it shouldn't really cost me anything. At the front here is my little mini Class 08 shunter, and basically my last batch that I've got of new stock is some Mark II Intercities, which were these ones. These were the old Lima Intercity coaches which I rebranded and repainted on the Let's Go Banana series. So if you wanted to catch up on that, please view those videos, and I'll show that will show you how I went about transforming the old stock, the old Lima Intercity stock, into the Network Rail stock. But going back to these are Hornby Intercity Mark II E's. I have 5 in total, sorry, 4 in total, although I ordered 5, and I've also got this Mark 1 kitchen type buffet one, but I had this one, I didn't actually buy. This one I already had previous, and I've just added it to the rake. But I'm not sure if I'm overly happy with this one. I mean, it works with the rake, no problem, but I was actually thinking of getting a better version, the Batman version of the buffet car. I think it'd just have a completely nice new rake. But going back to my rake, I've got this one first class. I should have had 3 second class, but I've only got 2. So that's that one and that one, and I've also got a brake on the end there. So this is actually a remark going back to one of my subscribers, who I can't remember who it was, who made a comment a couple of videos back about I thought I liked the BR Blue stuff, and I do immensely, and it kind of triggered a bit of a mass project going on over at Behringer at the moment, but like I said, that will be on a separate video. So here we are in my studio flat, and as we are all the time, and you're looking at a blank wall, and you're probably thinking, why are you showing me a blank wall? Well, the holes might possibly give it away, because this is where the Morwood nuclear flask terminal used to be, and we have made a decision on the nuclear flask terminal, and many of you were fond of it and wanted me to save it and all the rest of it, and I wanted to save it and I wasn't quite sure, and today the decision came to take it down. However, it is still alive, so we're going to show you where it is. So welcome, nuclear flask terminal. Morwood nuclear flask terminal is alive and well. I managed to save it. I wasn't really quite sure when I took it apart whether it was all going to fall apart in my hand, or whether it was going to buckle or twist, but it survived. I haven't done any testing with it at all. This is literally finding a new home for it. And where is the new home, you're probably asking yourself? Well, if I pan out, you'll see exactly where it is. And there you go. It's just basically underneath Morewood station on this lower level. It is pretty much the only sensible place that I could have put it without it encroaching on the rest of the flat, which I didn't really want it to do. So the end of it has got nothing. The end of it is on the windowsill. There's nothing there at the moment. So it's literally just sitting here as a diorama currently. But the plan is more than likely to turn this into a DCC layout separate to what I have currently. And the reason for that is purely because the gradient needed to get from this level to the upper level is just too steep, and it would also mean a lot of messing around and possibly undoing some of the good work that I've already done, and I just wasn't prepared to do that. So, and I've always been toying with the idea of possibly doing a bit of a DCC layout anyway. So what I'm probably going to do with this is, I'm not entirely certain because I haven't really thought it through. This was just literally just to sort of find a new home for it, to try and see if I could save it, because there was a point on here which I was going to possibly take out and use if it came to nothing, and use elsewhere, and I was debating whether I could get away with using this point. That is just behind here, but because I managed to save this whole section and it didn't fall apart, I now know that I need to buy a new point for over at Behringer Station. So I've decided, so that's why I just decided today that I wanted to see whether or not this was going to actually fall apart in my hand, or whether or not I could keep it, because I just wanted to know what I was going to do with the assets that were on it, i.e. the cars, the buildings, the crane. And this is the other thing, the crane, it was such a pain to put together. I mean, to go through all that hard work of putting that together and having to lob it, I mean, it's just all try and find a new home for it. It was just, so I decided that I was going to try and save it. So luckily I've saved it. So the plan with it is either going to, I think it is going to be DCC, and I'll probably try and make the most of some sound as well. And I will probably also, if I don't just run it just as an end-to-end down there, just with like a fiddle yard, I might very well take it back round to Beringer Station as a lower level, and basically have the DCC running on a lower level. Now I'm a bit backward in this, because most people sort of have a DCC layout and then maybe they'll have like a little branch line or something, or an upper level with just a couple of lines or whatever with DC on it. But I'm the other way around. But because there is a little there is a unit I've been wanting to buy for a long time, but I haven't been able to buy it because I don't do DCC, and it's got DCC sound on it. So this might be a reason for me to actually buy the unit and maybe sort of use this as a bit of a separate layout to run, and a bit of a different option and something different to do as opposed to the main layout. So we'll see. I'm just happy that I've managed to save it, save the assets, and that it hasn't crumbled in my hand. Obviously I haven't test run it because there's no power or anything to it yet, so I guess that's probably going to be the next thing to do at some point. But in the meantime, I'm just going to go back to concentrating on the work which I have to do elsewhere on the layout. As you can see, there's plenty to do on this layout. So anyway, I won't take up any more of your time than I already have done. So thanks for watching. Please feel free to comment and subscribe, and I will speak to you all soon. So bye for now.